Hello, this is Paulo with International Relocation Partner, and this week we are going to talk about Guatemala. It's interesting, and I'd like to give you guys a little introduction. We service North Americans, basically Canadians and families from the United States who are looking to move abroad, and they're looking for places to live and retire, like Mexico, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Panama, and also Guatemala. We have been getting inquiries. I guess some people is looking to move, perhaps in Antigua, Guatemala, and discover very inexpensive places to live and to enjoy their retirement, or maybe just to become a digital nomad. And this week, I have with you Luis Juarez. Luis is our regional pricing manager, and his office is in Guatemala. So he's all about his country, all about his own processes and regulations within Guatemala, and he has a lot of information to share with us. Say hi to everybody, Luis.
Thank you, Paulo. Hi. Thank you for the opportunity, Paulo, for this short briefing and meeting so that I can introduce Guatemala and all the basic requirements that we require here for any expat to come to Guatemala and have no issues when importing goods. Well, basically, just to give you a small summary, most of the expats that come here to Guatemala require some basic documentation that it's mandatory from customs to avoid any problems. And first of all, it's the passport. It has to be a copy of the passport with the original entry stamp from immigration. This is important because customs will require this document at the time of clearing the shipment. In addition, customs will require a packing list. It has to be a detailed packing list with all the items that are coming within the shipment. And also the other requirement that customs will mandatory insist on having is the RTU number, or that's the customs number, or the number that SAT assigns here to any person that comes to Guatemala, and is the one that it is registered when you pay duties on any item coming to Guatemala.
Okay, so these are the basic requirements. Now, would you say this process is slow? It takes a little while. Oftentimes we get calls from people, looking to move from the States. This is just an example. And they're looking to move into Guatemala, and they may not have some of this. Does it take too much to get all these documents?
No, actually, it's pretty simple. Once the person is here in Guatemala, you can go to any SAT office to obtain the RTU number. Usually it takes from 1 to 2 hours to obtain the number, and with that you are all set. You only have to have the copy of the passport with the entry stamp, and as I explained earlier, the packing list as full as possible. It has to be as detailed as possible so that when we make all the import documents, we have all the information. And if by any case there is an inspection, the officer can verify that everything that's on the list is exactly as it was declared. So there's no problem with that.
Yeah. And let me ask you something. And let's say a lot of people get to think, okay, I'm shipping my personal things to Guatemala, and I may have, I don't know, I may have a weapon, I may have a gun or a knife, or maybe I have a lot of vitamins or food. And these, for most countries, this type of goods are going to be restricted. And this happens in many countries. Costa Rica, Panama, we don't take food in house goods shipments. The same thing with Mexico. Mexico, you have more regulations. But what are the restricted items you think people should avoid? Don't ship to Guatemala. Just tell us about it.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Some of the restricted items are firearms. I think that's in all of the countries. And if you do have a firearm, you do have to have an authorization by the Ministry of Defense and also special permits. You can also import alcohol or wine, but there's a required or a maximum of 6 bottles per shipment. And if you're sending food, it has to be no more than 2 kilograms. Those are basically the main regulations that you have to avoid when sending to Guatemala, and consider also the prohibited items that are drugs and pornographic material. Those are 100% restricted, and it could probably give you problems when arriving to customs.
Phenomenal. So we want people to avoid shipping these things. And you say maybe alcohol and food, very, very small quantities. But even with these small quantities that are allowed, do you have to do an additional paperwork or additional, there is an additional expense This happens in Costa Rica. Somebody may be shipping something else like food, but then you have to do other steps. So sometimes it's not even worth it to get the additional step.
Right, yes. The problem is that if there's a lot of food, you might require special permits. It usually takes more time, probably one additional week or 2 weeks for the clearance, and also to obtain the permit, additional expenses to obtain these permits. So the main suggestion is not to send as much or too much food or too much wine or alcohol. And also, we have an issue with the cleaning items. Some customers like to bring, a liquid soap for the laundry, and in some cases that could provoke problems here with customs, or in when sending the shipment, within the shipment, any spills that could provide damage to the household goods. So we also request or require the informed customer not to send.
Okay, phenomenal. One last question. I know over the years you have dealt with many shipments going into Guatemala or from Guatemala to other countries, and every country has their own little regulation. But just like us, I mean, like I see many people making mistakes. What would you think is the most common mistake people do when they're shipping stuff into Guatemala?
Well, the main mistake is the short or not detailed packing list. That usually provides or gives us problems when customs, when there's an inspection, because customs knows that all the items that are declared within the shipment are not exact, and then they will require an intensive inspection that would take probably a week. And if they find items that are not declared, they could impose a fine or retain the shipment for more time. That will provide more information to customers until you can clear the shipment, and it will also generate more storage charges. So those are probably the biggest mistake, is that an incomplete packing list that will give you problems when clearing the shipment in Guatemala.
So, and this is across the board. Just want to let everybody know, if you're shipping abroad, you need to have a good detailed packing list. So this is it for right now. If you want to have more information about shipping your household goods to Guatemala or to Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, many other destinations in Latin America where we have presence, please go ahead and visit our website and book a consultation call. We offer a one-on-one consultation call for all of our customers, where we explain these details and help you set up the best logistics for your shipment. So we're happy to help, and bye to everybody. The time is up.
Bye-bye.